Now you see it, now you don't. Just because we don't have a kitchen right now doesn't mean I can't still make meals for my family. It takes a little bit of planning, a little bit of creativity and some ingenuity, but I'm gonna share with you some of the dinners that I made for my family in this first week without a kitchen. The first night without our kitchen, we actually technically still had the kitchen because at the last minute they had to delay our demo by a day. But I was not about to get anything back out after I worked so hard to pack everything up. And I decided to have my husband throw some burgers on the grill. I just got the patties already made from the store, but I was a little bit perturbed to find out that you can either buy them in packs of 4 or packs of 12, not packs of 8, even though buns come in packs of 8, which doesn't make any sense to me. So I just bought the package of 12 and we put 6 of them in the freezer. My husband seasoned these up with a little extra Worcestershire and seasoning and threw them on the grill. And I kept it simple with just some fruit, and I made some chip dip with sour cream and ranch and had some potato chips to go along with that. I have some little baskets that I put tissue in that are gonna come in handy for eating over the next few weeks, and we just enjoyed dinner out on the patio right off the grill. In my previous video, I showed you while I was packing up my kitchen how I was setting up my dining room as sort of a temporary kitchen so that I could continue making meals for my family and making videos here on See Mindy Mom. So here are just some of the highlights. I tried to just use stuff from around my house and repurpose it to hold different items that I thought we couldn't live without. I've got my crock pot with a saute function, a microwave. I've got our air fryer out. I was able to keep our refrigerator out, which we are not replacing. So here's a little look at what I have to work with over the next several weeks. Tonight, I am going to attempt to use the saute and the simmer function on my slow cooker to whip up a little like one pot pasta dish, like a hamburger helper dupe. I decided that I really needed like a little table over here to do some cooking on. So I dragged this over from another area. It was over there by the door. It's our entry table. And I just put a towel over it to try to protect it. And hopefully you can see, actually the lighting might not be too bad with that window right there. I've got some ground beef browning here in the slow cooker on the saute function. So I'll get that browned up and then I'll show you what else I'm adding to this and how we're gonna get it cooked. Okay, the meat is done browning. I'm gonna add 1 can of tomato sauce. I'm gonna turn the saute function down to about 225, which is gonna help it just come to a simmer. I'm gonna add 2 cups of milk. This is an 8-ounce can, so I can use this to measure 2 cups of milk in here. You could do 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of water. I just have this milk I need to use up, so I'll just use it. I'm gonna keep the seasoning really simple. I have like half of a packet of ranch mix here, and then about a teaspoon of paprika. This was in a meal kit, and I haven't transferred any more paprika to my jars, so I'm just gonna use that for today. Where are my spoons? Oh, put them over there. Okay, I'm just gonna give this a stir. And once this comes back up to a simmer, I'm gonna add these elbow noodles. It's half a box or 8 ounces or about 2 cups. And I'm gonna pop the lid on and just keep an eye on it. I'm really testing out the simmer function on this, so I don't wanna get too far because I don't want anything to burn or have it boil over. But I just wanna simmer these about 10 to 12 minutes until the elbow noodles are done. And then I'm gonna stir in some cheese and turn the heat off and just keep stirring that in. I might add a little extra milk if I want it to be creamy until the pasta is ready to serve and the cheese is all melted. In my last video where I was packing up my kitchen and setting up my dining room for making meals, a lot of people left comments saying, oh, your kitchen was beautiful before, or I would have loved to have that kitchen. And I understand that, but looks can be deceiving. And you are only seeing a few angles of my kitchen, a very small amount of my kitchen through a lens and from a distance. And truth be told, there were lots of things that were broken. There were lots of things that were not functioning well. And we were suspicious of a few problems that unfortunately were confirmed when we had everything taken out. For instance, underneath the dishwasher, we discovered a pretty bad mold problem. Apparently our dishwasher had a very slow leak somewhere, and it wasn't visible to us from the outside because the signs of that were not on the front side of the dishwasher, but underneath it, it was pretty bad. And an even bigger issue we discovered was that the floors underneath the cabinets weren't finished. The previous owners must not have finished the floors out when they installed them, and that probably contributed to the problem that we had with mice a few times because they had a lot of room to move around underneath the cabinets in that space between the bottom of the cabinet and the unfinished floor. So all that's to say, you just never know what's going on. You don't see the whole picture. So if you are wondering why it is that we are replacing a kitchen that looks perfectly good. It wasn't. On this night, I am making some jalapeno popper chicken. This is a really versatile crock pot recipe that I use a lot in the summer. I just throw some chicken breast into the crock pot and I add a packet of ranch seasoning and then a chopped up jalapeno and probably 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. I cooked mine on high for about 4 hours until the chicken was ready to shred up, and then I added 8 ounces, a whole block of cream cheese, and put the lid back on for just about 20 to 30 minutes until that cream cheese was softened and ready to stir into the shredded chicken. Normally, I would add some crumbled up cooked bacon at this point, but I forgot to buy some at the store, so we're just gonna live without it and add some shredded cheese to ours. This is a really versatile thing that I usually use to make sandwiches, but you can also put it on rice, you can put it on pasta. This night, I put it into little street taco sized tortillas to make little chicken tacos. For this meal, I'm using up some items that I had left over from a meal kit. If I can't get around to making those meals that come in like an every plate box, I will often just freeze the proteins, the meats, and then just set aside the non-perishable items like the seasonings, the rice, the pastas, and I'll use them in recipes later. For this recipe, I'm going for like a creamy Cajun chicken. So I've got some chicken in the crock pot there. I'm adding about half a teaspoon of garlic powder and 2 teaspoons of Cajun seasoning, about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a couple packets of that chicken broth base, which is probably the equivalent of about 2 teaspoons of bouillon, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of butter, and then salt and pepper to taste. I'm gonna pop the lid on that and cook it on high for 3 to 4 hours until the chicken is done. If you're using whole chicken breasts or chicken thighs at this point, you would want to shred them up. Mine were chicken pieces, so they were already in little bite-sized chunks. So once they were cooked, I just gave everything a stir. And now I'm gonna add some half and half and cornstarch. I used 1 cup of half and half, and I stirred in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch before I added that into the chicken. And I'm gonna stir that all together. Pop the lid back on, let it cook on high for about 20 minutes, just until it starts to thicken. And I wanted to add some cheese to this. I didn't have any Parmesan, but I had this Asiago, which I think will work really well. I didn't want to dirty up another dish or bowl, so I just grated it right into the crock pot, probably about 4 ounces or half a cup. And stir that until it melts into the creamy chicken mixture. Now we're gonna eat this over rice. There's so many different ways that you can cook rice these days. I mean, you can make it on the stove the old-fashioned way. You can make it in a rice cooker. There are all different kinds of microwavable rices. I just used the slow cooker earlier in the day. I have figured out how to use the saute function to cook rice, and I just set it aside until we were ready to eat it. I put it in the refrigerator and then we just heated it back up and put some of the chicken mixture on top. And here it is, all plated up. I hate that I'm showing this to you on a paper plate, but that's what we're using right now to make life easy. This was really, really delicious. I picked up a big Sam's Club order today, and along with the usual suspects like toilet paper and paper towels and dish detergent, I picked up a big box of chicken sandwiches. There are 8 in the box. I've had these in my cart a few times and then decided not to buy them. I buy the little like chicken fillets, the Southern style chicken fillets at Walmart. There's usually only 5 to 6 in a bag though, and then buy the buns separately. So I was interested to see how these tasted, if they held up as far as the taste and the quality go, because those chicken fillets, those Southern style chicken fillets at Walmart are really, really good. And just because it's Walmart and Sam's, it's owned by the same company, doesn't mean that the products are exactly the same. So we're gonna try those out tonight in the air fryer. I'm starting to put this video together and I'm realizing that I got no footage of one of the meals that we ate. My husband one night threw some brats and some cheddar dogs and some corn on the cob on the grill for us, and that's what we had for dinner. And I'm realizing that I forgot to get any footage of it because I was out of the house at the time. I was taking a kid to a birthday party that was about 20 minutes away, so like a 45-minute round trip. And my husband cooked that meal for us while I was out of the house so it would be ready when I got home. And I forgot to tell him to get any footage. I just didn't think of it. We're so like out of our normal routine that I didn't get any footage, but that was dinner one night. And then tonight we have one of those rare nights with no activities. We don't have any band rehearsals. We don't have any baseball games. We don't have any volleyball scrimmages or any, you know, practices, any swim meets, any meetings. So I asked the kids what they wanted for dinner and they said pizza. They want to have some pizza and they just want to like watch some movies, you know, have a movie marathon this evening. It is a school night, so we can't stay up super late. And I was like, you know what? It is a very wet, you know, rainy, gloomy kind of day. So it's probably a good night just to pick up some pizza. I think one night out of the week getting takeout when we haven't had a kitchen is pretty good. I bet that we're not gonna be able to keep it to just one night a week for the entire time we have no kitchen, but I will take that for this particular week. For this first week, I'm gonna call that a win. I'm gonna call that a win.